in either country and either country's partisan politics. No matter what challenges we face, this bond will endure. As a result, generations of Israelis and Americans American Israelis have kept a foot in each country, enriching both our nations and our peoples. I met with some of your leading high-tech leaders earlier prior to coming to the stage. They have a foot in both countries, many of them. While these close relationships span the realm of commerce and education, medicine and technology, culture and the arts, at its core is an ironclad commitment to security, Israel and my own countries. Every day Israel faces bravely threats no country should have to endure. No parent should send their child to schools equipped with air raid sirens in the year 2010. No government should be expected to turn a blind eye while an enemy calls for its destruction. I'm here to remind you, though I hope you will never forget, that America stands with you shoulder to shoulder in facing these threats. President Obama and I represent an unbroken chain of American leaders who've understood this critical strategic relationship. As the President said recently, and I quote, "I will never waver from ensuring Israel's security and helping them secure themselves in what is a very hostile region." End of quote. President Obama has not only stated those words, he's translated that vow into action in his first year in ways both known to the public and not known to you, as Prime Minister Netanyahu eloquently acknowledged the other day when he and I were meeting and had a short press conference that followed. Beyond providing Israel nearly $3 billion in military aid each and every year, we have reinvigorated defense consultations and redoubled our efforts to ensure that Israel's forces will always maintain a qualitative edge. We lead the fight in international institutions against the insidious campaign to challenge Israel's legitimacy and to question its right to self-defense. Since our administration came to office, our militaries have expanded cooperation, not maintained, expanded cooperation in joint exercises in missile defense. Last fall, more than 1,000 American troops participated in Juniper Cobra ballistic missile defense exercises, the largest such drill to date. And it should go without saying, but I'll say it anyway, so there is no doubt. The United States stands resolutely beside Israel against the scourge of terrorism, from which both of our countries have suffered badly. No one in this audience needs to be reminded of the fear and devastation caused by suicide bombers or by rockets from southern Lebanon or from Gaza. The band of Israeli territory outside the rocket's range grows narrower all the time. And I, as an American, continue to marvel at the residents in the region being able to resolutely get up every morning, the communities, other communities that in fact are within the bullseye, the crosshairs, how you respond to that with defiance and not fear. American support for Israel is not just an act of friendship. It's an act of fundamental national self-interest on the part of the United States, a key component to our broader efforts to secure this region and a wider world as well as our own security. Ladies and gentlemen, I've heard it raised occasionally in editorials in this country and others who are wondering about our resolve. Make no mistake about America's resolve. Make no mistake about America's resolve. We have 200,000 young women and men. We are spending $250 billion a year. We have had tens of thousands of fallen angels and multiple times more injured in the service of our nation, deployed far from home in Iraq and Afghanistan. There and elsewhere, we are aggressively confronting violent extremism and radical ideologies that threaten not only you in the United States, but our allies as well. But our approach consists more than the awesome military might we possess and are willing to use. From the very start, President Obama has called for a new era of diplomatic engagement with both our friends, some of whom we had alienated the previous years, as well as those who are not viewed as our friends. In Cairo last June, he launched a new beginning between the United States and the Muslim communities around the world. Later this month, the President will continue this engagement by visiting Indonesia, the home of the world's largest Muslim population, where he lived as a boy. We are absolutely convinced that this approach will improve not only our security, but as a consequence, your security. A new generation of Muslims are coming to age, more numerous than its predecessors, more dispersed geographically, and because of technology, more closely connected with each other and with the forces and events that shape the world we share. If we can roll back recent tensions and redirect crude stereotypes, theirs and our own, it will make America safer and our closest allies like Israel safer as well, in our view. We're returning an ambassador to Damascus and elevating our diplomatic contacts. We do so with our eyes wide open, both to our deep concerns with Syrian actions that threaten your security and the stability of the region, and also to the hope of a better relationship and peace between Israel and Syria. And we will continue to help strengthen the institutions in Lebanon and work to implement the UN Security Council resolutions aimed at ending the flow of weapons to Hezbollah and disarming this threat to Israel, as well as to the civilian Lebanese. With other Arab and Muslim countries, we are revitalizing a partnership in education, science, technology, business, culture, because that is the best way to counter the lure of extreme ideology, is to offer future opportunity. In speaking with your Prime Minister recently, he talked about the high birth rates in neighboring poor countries, including Yemen, and the need for us to provide economic outlets and opportunities so there is an option. Looming over all our efforts in this region is the shadow cast by Iran, home of a great civilization and proud people who suffer from a leadership that flouts the will of the world by pursuing nuclear weapons and supporting terrorism and terrorists. Over the past decade, Iran has become more, not less dangerous, building thousands of centrifuges that churn out nuclear material, funding and arming dangerous proxies like Hezbollah and Hamas, intimidating both its neighbors as well as its own citizens. From the moment we were elected, President Obama decided that we needed a new approach. He has sought to engage Iran's leadership for the purpose of changing their conduct, knowing full well how difficult that may be, but also knowing that if they fail to respond, we would be in a much stronger position to rally the international community to impose consequences for their actions. Iran thus far has refused to cooperate, as the whole world has witnessed. Instead, it has engaged in more violations of international obligations like undeclared enrichment facilities that were recently exposed by the United States, and the decision to enrich uranium to 20% to build more enrichment facilities, all violations. It rejected a good faith offer to exchange this low enriched uranium for fuel that could power a research reactor to produce medical isotopes. And it continues to deploy thugs to lock up and beat down those who bravely take to the streets in a quest for basic justice in their own country. The Iranian leadership's continuing defiance has set the stage for our efforts to mobilize the world to impose meaningful sanctions that clarify for the Iranian leadership to start